Y'all check out this UFO footage right here I ran across. I watched this video a lot of times, over and over, and to me, this video looks real. Watch as the UFO opens up some kind of portal or some type of doorway, which is probably how they get in here. Look at that. Now that right there is amazing. I like it. Y'all check out this UFO footage right here I ran across. I watched this video a lot of times, over and over, and to me, this video looks real. Watch as the UFO opens up some kind of portal or some type of doorway, which is probably how they get in here. Look at that. Now that right there is amazing. I like it.
All right. Shalom. Shalom. Yasharallah. Before I get started, I want to give all the praise and the glory and the honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Wadash, which I give me the spirit and the strength to do this lesson. Also, I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well and that teach well through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Wa Shalom, Wa Barakim to the elect, beginning with the 144,000, which are scattered abroad and in every place, redeemed of the time and ready to be saved. Shalom. All right. You know, I ran across this this video, this clip right here, man. Now, this could be real. This definitely could be real right here. And then it could be a hologram, you know. But I think it's, you know, evidence of the truth, the evidence of, you know, of the power of Yahweh Shai, Shai, man. All right, you know, being discovered before all. All right, I got a strong feeling that this is real. You know, just like the Jake, he sounded like a Jake. You know, the guy that uploaded this. Right, he even said, you know, he feel like it's real, man. All right, and I've let it play twice. All right, you know, because hey, man, you know, these chariots are becoming more and more well, the details of these chariots are becoming more and more clear. All right. They're getting closer. All right, you see this? They're getting closer, and Yahweh Shai is showing us more. All right, and you know, it's going through a portal, and that only makes sense because these chariots, all right, the so-called UFOs, they're not from this realm. So how do they get over here? All right, they travel through a portal. And matter of fact, that's how Yahweh Shai is going to come, through a portal. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. What's that? Revelation 19th chapter. Revelation chapter 19. Oh, Salaki, it went 29. All right, this is Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. It says, and I saw heaven open up. Right, just like we just seen it in his video. All right, that's a portal being open. All right, the sky being open. That's what the heaven is. John, the Apostle John, saw the sky, the heaven open. All right, that's a portal. That's what we call a portal. All right, you know, back then they didn't use the term. The prophets didn't use the term portal. All right, he described it to the, you know, as being as the sky opening. All right, that's a portal. Because once again, these chariots are coming from a whole nother dimension. The fourth dimension. All right. And once again, this is how Yahushua, he's going to enter this realm. We're reading it right here. It says, and I saw heaven opened. All right. And behold, a white horse. All right. That's a dark saying for that chariot. You know, it's not literally talking about a white horse. White just means purity. All right. Okay. And a horse represents power. All right. And it says, and behold, a white horse. So this is that fathership that he's seen coming out of that portal. All right. It said, and he that sat on him was called faithful and true. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Right. That's Yahushua, man. You see? So that's why I truly believe that video, that video is true. It's real, because they do, the angels, they travel over here through a portal. All right. And like I said, these chariots, these so-called UFOs, they're becoming more, they're getting closer, and we're seeing more details. You know, they're no longer looking like a shooting star. All right, they're getting closer. All right, and that indicates that the things that we're seeing in the world, all right, these different events, these different events, it indicates that these are the prophecies that were written about. All right, because what did Yahushua say? He said, when you shall see these things happen, look. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get it. Man, what chapter? What script? What? Wait a minute. Let me get Google real quick. I'm gonna have to, cheat real fast. Yeah, Salaki. Jake is on here. Buying some sneaks, buying some shoes for my seed, man. She like her Vans, so Jake on there shopping for the little one. All right, let me see. What do you say? Okay, when you shall see these things Okay, Luke 21 and 28. That's what we want. And this is Yahushua speaking. All right. Salaki. All right. What was that? 28. Okay, here we go. Luke 21 and 27 saying, then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory, right? All right, then it says, then Yahushua said, and when these things begin to come to pass, right, the prophecies, all right? And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, right, in the sky, look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. For your redemption draweth nigh. Right, these chariots are getting closer and closer, man. All right. So this is how we know, because we looking up, we lifting up our heads, and we see these chariots. We seeing they're becoming more clearer. All right, we can see the shapes, of these vehicles, heavenly vehicles. So this proves that the things that's happening in the earth, with these wars, etc. That proves that these are the prophecies that was written about. These are the prophecies that were written about of old, man. All right. Yahushua he said, and when these things begin to come to pass, right? Once again, the prophecies, right? Then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. That's right. These angels and these vehicles, they're showing themselves more. They're getting closer. Shalakia, they're getting closer. All right. And this is Yahweh Bashem Shai visiting this place. Like he said, he was going to visit this place. And the good example of that is these chariots. All right. These chariots, man. You see? So we're definitely in the end, man. We're definitely in the end. We're seeing, these wonders, all right? Things that you can't explain, happen in the heavens. Matter of fact, what is that? Joel chapter 2. It's in Joel chapter 2, verse 30. It says, and I will show wonders in the heavens. And I will show wonders in the heavens. Are not those chariots wonders? Yes, they are. It's talking about those chariots, these so-called UFOs, man. All right? And I will show wonders in the heavens. That's right. And in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. I said the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come, right? So this is a chronological order right here, man. So we're seeing this now. All right? So we're definitely at the end. Matter of fact, what's that? Luke 21. Because Yahushua's disciples, they asked him what signs to look for, what signs they would see that would, give them a clue that we're at the end, that they will be at the end of this age. All right? And he gave them signs to look for. And these was one of them. He says, Luke chapter 21, verse 25, he said, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, right? And those signs represent also those chariots, man. Those UFOs, so-called UFOs. Okay? And there's been a lot of, chariot sightings, man. A lot of them, a lot. Like, they've been more frequent than usual, man. Okay? It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Right. So Yahweh Shai is causing these angels to show themselves more, and you know, and that's causing a faith booster. That's a faith booster to the elect. All right. That's a faith booster to the elect. Because look, the hope elect, man, I said rather, because we know what that means. We know what this means, man. We know what this means. All right. That means that these angels, they're moving in. It's just like a war tactic, man, that they use. When two nations are going to war. All right. You have the two kingdoms that's opposed to each other. You have one moving in closer to the other. All right. Until they finally collide. All right. Because it's gonna get to because when Yahweh Shah returns in that war, because like we read in Revelation 19 that he come to bring war, and in that war, them chariots gonna be really close, man. Like they're gonna be on ground zero. All right, they're gonna be right here, like I can see this apartment, like every fucking detail of this apartment. All right. Or this car next to me. That's how those chariots are gonna be, man. All right, that's how close those chariots are gonna be. All right. So yeah, we know what's going on. We see what's going on, and then we know who's in those vehicles. These people don't know. They oblivious, man. They talking about aliens. All right. Which when you go into the word alien, it just means stranger. So technically, I mean, the angels are strangers. All right, they're not from this realm. They're not from this. They're from a whole other dimension. But they're not the aliens that they believe in. All right. And who knows? Like I know my elder. The elder Harad. At the GMS Oklahoma camp. He said that that because the angels, they got power beyond your imagination, man. So they probably appeared to Esau in that form, and that's probably where they got the idea from of these little green men. These, who knows, man? Because the angels, they could take any form. All right, they might have took a form of took upon themselves a monstrous form. All right, a terrible looking creature and a old and long, and she revealed that to Esau. Who knows, man? Who knows? All right. I mean, it makes sense too. But the and you see the subtitle right here. It says the return of Yahweh Shai. So right here, this is indicates these signs like I just read, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, right? Which would be in the time when Yahweh Shai will return. All right. So, like I said, there's many other videos. People are, nowadays people are keeping their eyes on the skies, man. You got people catching, chariot sight left and right. Okay. But Yahweh Shai is still going to come as a thief in the night for them, because they don't know that those are angels in those vehicles. They still believing in, believe that, creatures inhabit other planets, and, and eventually they're going to invade the earth. But that's not a part of prophecy, man. All right. And I'm gonna say this too. You got, when Yahweh Shai return, in that fathership, and with all those other Chariot, the so-called UFOs, they going to think that they're actually aliens, man, that they believe in. They going to think that it's an alien invasion. For those that do not know about Yahweh Shai and his coming, these people going to literally think that it's an alien invasion. It's an invasion, but not the aliens that they believe in, man, that they see on TV and these movies. Like the War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise in it, or even the older ones before that, right? No. They're going to believe it's an alien invasion. So, because they're not expecting that the Lord, or the God, the one that they call Christ or Jesus, is going to pull up in. They're not expecting him to pull up in a so-called spaceship, man. Fuck. When you really think about it, it's amazing. It's mind blowing, man. Because that's gonna be one hell of a fucking day. Golly, man. That's why we prepared for it. Because when he show up, we know who it's gonna be. We already know what it is, man. And Lord willing, we of that number that rejoice when we see him, man. Because like it says in the Apocrypha, that in that day some will rejoice, some will be glad, some will be disappointed, some will be mad, and some will be chained. And I believe it said chained or going to bondage, one of the two. But hopefully we the ones that rejoice, man. All right, because he's coming, man. He's coming. Oh yeah, he's coming. Yahweh Shai is coming. So yeah, man. Lord willing, that was edifying. All right. That's like it. Yeah, Lord willing, it was edifying. To the flock, those that may tune into this. Stay focused, stay on the watch. Yahweh Shai told us to watch in all things. All right. So yeah, Lord willing, come back with another lesson. Until next time, Yahweh Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakodash, Yahweh Bashim Shai, Brakathum, to you elect. Wow, Shalom.